All right, enough cheesy nonsense. This is game 2. It was actually yesterday when I casted the first game of this series, and it was quite an epic battle as far as I recall. It was Tahn versus Will, I think, on Redshift, and both, was it on Redshift? I'm not sure. Both players, anyway, did tech up pretty substantially and ended up with pretty serious mid-game armies, and there was a bit of back and forth, and it was all good, but neither player really seemed to know how to progress their army onto the next stage. So yeah, interested to see what happens this time round. Looks like a pretty straight up build from Tahn, gas, hatchery, and I'd expect to see the pull come down very shortly. And there it is, and looks like a fairly straight up build from Will as well, with the full wall off very sensibly, and one gas, one racks, everything looking good. You know, once I'm at this point as Terran, yeah, maybe I'd think about a second racks, but what I'd prefer is a scout. You know, if you've sent the scout to go and look after the first depot, what you're looking for is it pull first or is it hatchery first? If it's pull first, you know, there's no two ways about it. You're getting 12 pulled. You're getting some sort of horrific Ling flood, because there is never any reason for Zerg to go pull first, unless they intend to put a lot of pressure on very early. So if it's pull first, you build a second barracks. If it's not pull first, build an expo. You know, if it's hatchery first, build and expand. Get your next CC up and running. This is a pretty quick factory, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with the quick factory. For some reason, I have no sound. Is it because it's no, it isn't. The PC is definitely playing through the speakers, but I have no sound, so I'm kind of hoping you guys have got sound on the replay. Anyway, Tahn has got a reasonable number of lings up, and the expo here is going to be problematic to hold. This is probably enough lings to get a cancel. The trick with Tahn is you can build the CC up here, and then you can fly it down. He needs to cancel that. Oh, didn't get a cancel. That's painful. Don't forget, you can cancel a building that's half done. There's no problem with that. Now that the siege tank is in position, what I'd like to, you've got to be careful the lings don't get in, but what you want to do is try and, like, yeah, give the siege tank sight. They can shoot further than they can see, and try and lure these lings up into the ramp where the siege tanks will literally obliterate them. So 2 siege tanks, with this one sieged up as well, which it surely still will be, these lings become forfeit. I mean, they're just going to get an absolute beating there, even with just the one tank actually firing. Whoa, 31 kills on that one tank. You know, if both of these had been sieged up, all of these lings are dead. But the issue here is that Will does need to expand, and at present he isn't doing that. So what you do as Terran, you build your CC up here, and once it's finished, then you move your force down, which should be by then a pretty substantial force, easily enough to hold against a bunch of lings. Move that down into position and fly the command center down, land it, and turn it into an orbital. Then you can bring down the SCVs as well and just build your row of buildings here to wall off. There goes the supply depots, but with no CC to plant here, you know, Will is going to find himself in a spot of bother economically if he doesn't sharpen up. I love the drop, but it's still at home. So, you know, you need to get on that. These overlords are probably granting a reasonable amount of sight. So Tahn will be aware that there's a wall here, and with siege tanks behind the wall, that's just unbreakable by lings. Benlings, on the other hand, can split this open. Now, until you have Benling speed, you do have to be careful, because slow Benlings will get shut down by siege tanks. The trick as the Terran player, yeah, you see the Benlings at the back there. So actually the lings are in the way, but this is a reasonable hole in the wall, and this is a fair old flood of lings. You've got to be careful sieging up once the lings get on top of your mech, because once the lings are surrounding, you know, your siege tanks will do splash damage to each other, and that is bad. As I was saying, if you're the Terran trying to hold against the Benlings, what you've got to do is you've got to highlight your siege tanks and actually actively right click the Benlings. You don't have to be mega accurate. If you're just clicking near the Benlings, the splash damage will kill them. But if you don't do anything like that, all the Lings are right up at the top here, nibbling the depots. The siege tanks by default will shoot at the nearest enemy that they can shoot at. So they won't be focusing on those Benlings that were at the back. So you've got to be a little bit careful about that. If you're the Zerg player, what you want to do is kind of send them in such a way. What you typically do is you send 2 Lings up front to take the first siege tank volley in the face, 2 sacrificial Lings, then your line of Benlings rolls up the ramp and smashes the hole open, and then your world of Lings rushes in after that. So a little bit of pre-planning, a little bit of organization of your units back here, just, you know, a small handful, 2-3 Lings at the front, then the Benlings, then the world of Lings ready to run in once the front door is open. This is a reasonable Terran force that is moving out. The army for Tahn is larger, but that's a lot of Benling, and that is painful, but they don't have speed. Speed makes such a difference to these Benlings. Without speed, the siege tanks get an extra volley off on them, and a couple of volleys siege tank fire obliterate things so very quickly. What I'd love to see from Will is a move up the left hand side here, a full load up into the medevacs, siege tank, and then just, you know, stim forward and wreck stuff. These have they missed each other? Is that what's happened? The 2 medevacs will see everything, but look, these 4 siege tanks ready to just obliterate here. I'd love to see this. This is time to go, and I'd love to see it loaded into the medevacs to go. You know, why try and, oh my goodness, Overlord farm, or this. Yeah, I'd much prefer to lift in with the medevacs, and without the siege tanks actually sieged up, the Benlings do manage to connect. But my goodness, was that efficient? I don't think so. You know, generally Benlings against mech aren't great. Benlings against Marines are. So both players losing a fair amount. Let's take a. Why can't I open the? I don't know what I'm trying to do. Units killed. However, neither player has really dented the other one's economy, with the exception of that early deny on this expand. Still though, that's pretty unpleasant. So Will is finding himself a bit strapped for cash here, and does actually need to drop the third. This is an easy third to hold because you can just position a bunch of stuff here. It isn't far away from this ramp should something attack, and should something try and come into the third, you're not far away from this direction either. So, you know, sieging up in this area, maybe with a bunker, maybe with a turret, is a pretty good place to be, because any attack that comes into either base needs to get past a siege line here. So it's relatively straightforward to do that. You can also knock down these rocks to give yourself access to this area nice and quickly. Tahn, meanwhile, has gone up to a really, you know, a pretty respectable 4 base at this point. Look how many Lings this is, though. Let's have a quick look. That is 162 Lings. This little push isn't going to achieve much against that many. And separating them out like this, you know, load them into the medevacs, load them fast. Lings cannot shoot things in the air. All of these Marines are just going to die. You can't fight this. This is so many Lings. You know, once you're surrounded, you need to get out of there. And the way to get out of there is just straight into the medevac and do one into the main base. Unload, snipe something, snipe a queen, snipe a bending nest would be a particularly good, juicy target. And then when the Lings turn up, load up again and fly out of there. That is the power of Terran. They have got the most mobile army. You know, Terran Bio is so mobile. You've got a high DPS from the Marines. Marines are squishy though, so the way you play it is you gun stuff down, and you know, when something comes to kill your Marines, you load them into the medevacs and you just get out of there. You just bail. Don't stand and fight against stuff like Benlings. This is still a terrifying 172 Benlings on this map. So a frontal assault into this is likely to be ugly. However, this number of siege tanks would trade very if they're sieged up. If they're sieged up, these will trade efficiently against this. But I feel like all the Marines are going to go down. No, they didn't. But did the siege tanks kill all of it? Yeah, they did. Oh, it's a festival of splash damage. Let's see if we can get a better view here from this angle. Oh, good lord. That is so much splash damage from those siege tanks. Just boom. Obliterates everything. And there's so much medevac healing going on that the Marines actually managed to survive. That is a little bit terrifying. 10, 12, 18, 17, 7, 7. So, you know, the siege tanks standing strong at the back, managing to crank out furious amounts of splash damage. Had there been Benlings in that mixture with Benling speed, that fight would have went differently. It's hard for Lings to nibble down the Marines when there are so many medevacs healing them, because the Lings do small amounts of damage quickly, repetitively. That gives the medevacs time to to heal the Marines back up in between nibbles. Benlings, on the other hand, do burst damage, 50 damage at a time, and that just one-shots the Marines, so no amount of medevac healing makes any difference whatsoever. The Marines simply die. Without that kind of splash damage and without that heavy hit damage, yeah, there was enough firepower there, enough DPS from the siege tanks for them to hold strong. To be honest though, I still thought the Lings would have worked their way through. Now it is a good example of positioning as well. I'm actually, because this game is now over, I'm going to go back to that. Hold on, returned again. Let's go back. Okay, so all of your Lings coming from the same angle is not what you want. If you know this is coming, what you want is to send some of your Lings round the back, because if Lings get on top of the siege tanks, they do chew through them pretty quickly. Siege tanks can't shoot stuff close up, so you know, typically if you're playing a Ling heavy style, it's all about the flanks, it's all about splitting the Lings and coming in and sandwiching your opponent to get that. As always with Lings, it's all about the surround. You have to completely envelop your opponent. If you haven't completely wrapped around them, then you're going to be in trouble. Anyway, yeah, that was a good game. GG.